Hey everyone, Harry here to talk about the dust up that was the Merrick Garland hearing yesterday in the House. So he was called to testify in front of the House Judiciary Committee, and it was nasty, contentious, and intellectually dishonest. I think it's all three of those are fair to say. So first, there is the whiff, the acrid smell of contempt in the air. And why is that? Because the Jim Jordan-led Republican side wants the audio tape of the interview by Robert Hur with Joe Biden that was part of Hur's conclusion not to bring charges against Biden. Now, let me just take a step back here and say, I do not think this is my partisan color showing. The idea of a case against Biden for having wound up probably with nothing to do with him and then immediately returned possible national security material, same as, say, Pence, was always fanciful. And it was the department, I think, if anything, being overly punctilious and Boy Scout-like in appointing Robert Hur as a special counsel, and he took way too long and went through a whole kind of detailed analysis and report to not charge Joseph Biden. But the case was, never remotely chargeable, was night and day from Donald Trump, although this was the comparison that everyone had in mind, taking and refusing to return and violating subpoenas and violating search warrants and using and showing to people national defense information. There's just no comparison. All right. But nevertheless, the Republicans want to. I think this is sort of why they pressed on David Weiss to now bring the case that is ongoing against Hunter Biden. They want to have the basis for sort of a phony baloney argument of bothism. Okay, so Trump got convicted of 34 felonies. Well, Biden himself. And let's listen to the audio tape of this. Now, the Department of Justice already has given the Congress the transcript of the interview. And keep in mind that in general, the practice in the department is when you have decided not to charge someone, that's the end and you don't elaborate. This is what, this was Jim Comey's terrible transgression in 2016 that may well have certainly did contribute and may well have been pivotal in the elections going away from Hillary Clinton and to Trump. Now, special counsels are different. It's true. The regulation provides for a report. It provides for certain instances like disagreement between the AG and a special counsel that things go to Congress, but they have the transcript. And there was a 4-page letter from the Office of Legal Counsel saying, on the one hand, this transcript gives you all you need in terms of oversight. On the other hand, giving you the audio tape and everything you're asking for would only make it harder to have interviews and investigations in the future. And moreover, the president has invoked executive privilege over the actual audio tape, meaning that the sword brandishing that the R's are doing now, threatening to hold Garland in contempt, at a minimum, isn't going anywhere. They would have to serve it up to the department. And we know this from Mark Meadows and others. There's the idea that Garland is being contemptuous when, for his own reasons, he knows this is deleterious. He's also given them the transcript, and the president has invoked executive privilege. There's just no possible contempt or crime there. And moreover, Garland basically wouldn't care. I mean, he was there in his soft-spoken, kind of nerdy, but completely line-drawing, forget about it way, and explaining to them how this is, not for them. I'm very respectful of your contempt powers, et cetera, but I will not handicap the future investigative efforts of agents and attorneys in the department. And, if you want to hold contempt over that basis, the difference between the audio tape that's the subject of executive privilege and the transcript, which you already have, bring it on. And it's quite clear. If they do, it seems to me it would be just a theatrical gesture, not that is probably DOA, but that's, certainly within the Republicans' ken. The hearing then expanded on both sides in a way. So the Republican interlocutors like, Matt Gaetz and Jim Jordan really wanted to sort of smother Garland with accusations about everything. So starting with the convictions last week in New York on 34 felony counts, which they just wanted to say for the TV soundbite, no other reason. They know it's not true, that the DOJ and Biden was all behind it. There's someone who worked at DOJ, Matt Colangelo, who left and took a job, who worked at DOJ, who left and took a job at the Manhattan DA's office. And they wanted to say, you dispatched him for this. And Garland swatted it away and said, that's not true at all. And he left of his own accord and we had nothing to do with it. But then more generally, did the Republican sort of jackanapes squad, Getz and Jordan, et cetera, went after everything having to do with Trump. And Garland also went after the sort of series of attacks, repeated attacks. He said, repeated attacks on the Justice Department are unprecedented, unfounded. They won't influence our decision-making. Trump's continual suggestion of, this is crazy even for Trump, by standards of Trump, that basically Joe Biden was locked and loaded and given commands to federal agents to take out Donald Trump, who wasn't there for the search in Mar-a-Lago. And what they're referring to is a standard circular. We've talked about this before, that in fact is meant to reduce the threat of violence and has nothing to do with is a completely routine, and it proves only the opposite. But this soundbite, Trump continues to beat the drums on, and this came up at the hearing as well. So Garland had an opportunity to really assail their trash talking as not simply false, and of course they know it's false. And bad manners, but dangerous. He had actually come out and called it dangerous when Trump had first said it. It endangers agents in the field. If people think that that a search means deadly force going to be used against them, and it endangers witnesses, it's just dangerous stuff. And they're playing with fire and pretending they are not, and adding kerosene daily. So it was a contentious hearing where neither side gave an inch. And so you had, Getz and Jordan basically filibuster in their kind of, teeth-baring, nasty, insinuating way, and Garland in his, kind of bland but very firm judicial way, not just swatting it away, but calling it false, calling it dangerous. So in that sense, a fairly contentious and tense hearing. That was how it was going to be going in. That's how indeed it was. And that's the hand we've been dealt for the coming 5 months beside. But so in particular, Garland saying, bring it on contempt if you really want to. And then also making a point, to whose ears exactly. It's, a little unclear, but maybe some kind of, well, there aren't moderates anymore in the Republican caucus, but to say, guys, this is not a game. You're really endangering people here, and, you got to cut the crap. So a dramatic in a sense, but also kind of pre-scripted hearing where, both sides square off, hold their positions, and, neither gives ground. And that's the Judiciary Committee and the DOJ in June of 2024. Talk to you later. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video and other Talking Feds content, please take a second to like and subscribe. Talk to you later.